From the CBS Bay Area studios, this is KPIX 5 News.
Gunfire erupts on the streets of San Francisco and a driver is shot. This morning, police are still looking for 2 suspects.
And crews are getting closer to containing those deadly fires in wine country. The latest on firefighting efforts as more evacuees return home this morning.
And a war of words. President Donald Trump's response to the widow of a fallen U.S. soldier devolving into a political brawl. It's 7:30 a.m. this Sunday, October 22nd. Good morning. I'm Phil Mattia.
And I'm Melissa Kane. Now, breaking news. This morning, San Francisco police are looking for 2 suspects accused of shooting an Uber driver. The driver was shot just before 9 o'clock last night near the intersection of Clay and Laguna, right there beside Lafayette Park in Pacific Heights. Now, police say this was an attempted robbery, and the victim was taken to the hospital to be treated for non-life-threatening injuries. Police say they are following leads on the 2 suspects.
And in the East Bay, police are looking for a hit-and-run driver who crashed into 2 cyclists. It happened just after 2 yesterday afternoon at Diablo Canyon Road and Clydesdale Drive in Danville. Police say that the driver of the SUV plowed into 2 men and then took off. The impact of that crash tossed those cyclists 20 to 30 feet away from their bikes. An ambulance rushed 1 man to the hospital and a helicopter airlifted the other man, who suffered more serious injuries.
That's very, very tragic, but it's something that anyone could have looked at and said was going to happen sooner or later due to the substandard width road.
Danville police are looking for a silver SUV. They believe it might have been a Ford Escape. New this morning, we've had a deadly crash on the peninsula, and authorities believe that the driver that caused the crash was under the influence. It happened just before 9 o'clock last night on Highway 92 near Belmont in San Mateo County. Both lanes were shut down for about 3 hours. Now, they arrested 1 suspect that they believe caused the deadly 4-car crash, but later in the evening they picked up another suspected DUI driver at the same location.
And another crash. The driver who caused a fiery head-on collision in Concord is on the run this morning. The suspect's stolen truck was heading the wrong way down Highway 4 yesterday afternoon near Willow Pass Road. It smashed into an SUV and then burst into flames. And you can see the charred truck here. That's it on its side. And the 25-year-old driver took off running into the old Concord Naval Weapons Station and was never found. And the people inside the SUV he hit suffered minor injuries.
This week, we're going to see opening statements in the start Monday in San Francisco of the murder case that's drawn national attention over the sanctuary city debate. Jose Inez Garcia Zarate is accused of killing 32-year-old Kate Steinle on San Francisco's Embarcadero in July of 2015. At the time, he was wanted for deportation by federal agents. The Mercury News reports that 3 immigrants are among the jurors selected in the case. There were 12 sworn in last week.
And this morning, President Trump says he is going to allow the release of new information on the assassination of President John F. Kennedy. It could mean shedding more light on what happened on November 22nd, 1963. Now, by law, the details have to be released on Thursday unless the president decides to keep them under wraps. But the president has tweeted that he will allow them to be made public.
Packed a funeral service for a fallen American soldier who's at the center of a feud between President Trump and a Florida congresswoman. He was one of 4 U.S. soldiers who died in an attack in Africa. Now, this morning, questions persist about the deadly incident and what the president said during the condolence call. KPIX 5's Andrea Borba has the story.
As the mournful notes of taps played in the background, the family of Sergeant LaDavid Johnson laid the 25-year-old Army Ranger to rest in his home state of Florida. His pregnant widow, Maisha, said goodbye one last time. Questions are growing over how Johnson and 3 other U.S. service members died in an attack in Niger on October 4th. Also, why Johnson's body was found almost a mile from the ambush site, or how he became separated from his comrades. And it's unclear why his patrol had not expected enemy contact in a part of the country where this UN map shows 46 attacks took place over the last 20 months. On Friday, Defense Secretary James Mattis spoke to reporters after meeting with Senator John McCain, who has called for more details about the attack.
We can do better at communication. We can always improve on communication, and that's exactly what we'll do.
President Trump's effort to console Johnson's widow launched a war of words with Florida Congresswoman Frederica Wilson.
He never called him a hero.
On Thursday, White House Chief of Staff General John Kelly tried to walk back Wilson's assertions.
And in his way tried to express that opinion. He's a brave man, a fallen hero. He knew what he was getting himself into because he enlisted.
In a tweet, President Trump called the Congresswoman wacky.
And I would think that every one of them appreciated it.
And also said on Fox Radio,
to the best of my knowledge, I think I've called every family of somebody that's died.
Meanwhile, the newspaper Roll Call says they have email showing the White House was scrambling to get a list of fallen soldiers from the DOD after that interview. Andrea Borba, KPIX 5.
And President Trump is praising the Senate's passage of a budget that paves the way toward tax reform. The $4 trillion budget plan was approved 51-49 last week, mostly along party lines. It makes room for a tax reform plan that would add about $1.5 trillion to the federal deficit over the next 10 years. It also allows Senate Republicans to pass tax reforms without a Democratic filibuster. That means they just need 51 votes instead of the usual 60.
Sets the stage for us to pass major tax cuts that will deliver more jobs and higher wages for hardworking Americans all over the country.
Democrats say that the GOP tax proposal benefits the wealthiest Americans the most. But House Speaker Paul Ryan says they will introduce a new tax bracket designed to keep the cuts from favoring the top 1%. And Republicans want to pass the tax cuts by the end of this year.
The taxing is going to have repercussions. I mean, people are already talking about who wins and who loses. I understand that this also affects people's 401k contributions?
Yeah, potentially. You know, every tax loophole has a constituency, right? And they are very interested. One of the proposals in the tax plan would eliminate or dramatically reduce the amount of pre-tax dollars people can put in their 401ks. So right now it's $18,000 pre-tax. This tax plan would lower that to $2,500, and Wall Street not happy about that one bit. Now on to the latest on the wine country wildfires. This morning, firefighters continue to make progress surrounding those flames. Here are the latest numbers from CAL FIRE. Crews have now established good lines around 94% of the Tubbs fire and 89% of the Nuns fire. And this morning, the Atlas fire is at 92% containment. And the Pocket fire in Geyserville is at 85%.
People from a fire-ravaged neighborhood in Santa Rosa began returning to their homes yesterday, but in many cases in Fountain Grove, there wasn't much left for them.
It's shocking. It's unbelievable what we've lost. The memories are still there, but the material representation is all gone. It just feels like you go on.
Everyone who enters the Fountain Grove neighborhood must show proof that they live there. The reentry process will continue this week. Meanwhile, Governor Brown signed an executive order to help with hazardous waste removal from the neighborhoods that were hit by the wildfires. The order will allow federal EPA workers to help remove debris like batteries, flammable liquids, and asbestos siding.
And this morning, the Bear Fire in Santa Cruz Mountains is 65% contained. Now, that fire has injured 9 people, destroyed 4 structures, and charred close to 400 acres. Neighbors say they believe it started at a chop shop inside that fire zone on Monday night.
Hey, good morning, everybody. It is the day of the 49ers and the Cowboys. Niners with C.J. Beathard under center. Now, they may be a 4 to 6 point home dog, but don't you want to see what happens? I know I do. I'll be at the game. Warriors Steph Curry, Kevin Durant not around by the finish last night in Memphis. Marc Gasol just could not be stopped. 34 points, 14 rebounds. No answers. Curry drove, fouled. Mouthpiece comes out. He gets ejected. So did Durant. Warriors lost 111 to 101. Wow, what has happened? Nothing says baseball like alien costumes. That was Houston last night. Game 7 against the Yankees. AL pinned it on the line. And the bottom 5, Astros, Jose Altuve delivered a solo shot. Houston advanced to his first World Series, beat the Yankees 4-0. World Series game 1 against the Dodgers Tuesday. Cal football trailed Arizona by 1 second overtime for the win. No! And Cal has bounced 45-44. The record is 4-4. The Sharks at the Islanders, 3rd period. Anders Lee got loose, 2nd goal of the game, and that is how they won. Final of 5-3 as San Jose record has fallen to 3-4. That is sports at this hour on a Sunday. Some of you I'll see at Levi Stadium later on to see what unfolds during the Dwight Clark ceremony, as he will be honored by the crowd, and the Niners and Cowboys. We'll see you later.